we have a couple tractors. This tractor mainly is just for field work. It's an older tractor, but she's a workhorse. A newer tractor here, a bigger tractor, again for field work. Pulling plows and discs and etc. in the dirt in the fields is really hard on a tractor, so we need some bigger equipment. However, we're just not as big as some of those huge farms you might see with those big brand new tractors. Those big brand new tractors are upwards of $500,000. That's like a really big, nice house, to put it in perspective. This is a newer tractor we have. It's about $70,000. That's like maybe like a new Mercedes. I think. I don't have a Mercedes, so that's my guess. So things are, you know, we obviously have to keep things relative to our size. We're not a really big dairy or really big beef operation, so we keep that stuff in. So this is the other end of the barn we were at, the one with the hay and the headlocks down further. In here, this is what we call a squeeze chute. This is how we handle all the cattle. It might look like intense or it could hurt them, but it actually keeps them calm. There's a woman who I totally encourage you guys, if you have the time, there's probably like even a brief YouTube video. Her name is Temple Grandin. She's autistic and she is a professor at Colorado State and just like a world-renowned speaker. She speaks about autism, but she speaks about cattle handling. She designed all the cattle handling systems that you see in slaughterhouses and on farms because she related as an autistic person to how animals reacted. So she herself, as an autistic person, felt that if she didn't like to be hugged by a person because that was like maybe a little too much sensory overload, but she felt that if she was hugged by something mechanical, that it really relieved her feeling she was having. And she related to cattle, and I won't go into it too much more, but anyways, she designed all these systems, and at a time where I would say she's in her late 60s, maybe a little older even, and when she was a young woman, one, she was a woman, two, she was autistic, so people didn't give her the time of day. And now we obviously know better than that, but she was extremely bright, so she just like invented all these systems. So this is how we do anything we need to do to a cow. Give vaccinations. If it's a hard birth and we need to help the mom, she goes in there. Pregnancy checks. When we put the embryos in, when we artificially inseminate, we always use this. This keeps the cow safe and it keeps us safe too. This is just kind of like the dark, dingy area of the barn. I figured I'd just show you guys to wrap up the barns. All of this space here was where they milked cows. So I showed you the free stalls. They'd run them in and they'd milk them. So that is the end of the barn. I'll show you down here. We call it the office. It's kind of embarrassing, but I'll show you anyways. Then these are semen tanks, and they hold embryos. So these are filled with liquid nitrogen. Sorry, it's escaping me. So those are filled with liquid nitrogen, and they keep any semen we've collected from the bulls and any embryos we've collected from cows. They stay in there frozen. So then the vet, when we need to use them, he goes in there and takes them out. Right, this is our grain bin. It's not as huge as, some you might see, but again, we keep things into perspective to our size. It does the job that we need it to do. Ooh, sorry. So we're still at the grain bin. Struggling a little with the camera. This is, so we fill it, usually we combine soybeans first because they're mature and ready first in the field. So we combine those with the big combine I showed earlier. We have 2 trucks here, and the combine dumps into those, and the truck runs it back here. And normally, so way up at the top, way up, those are vents, but way up at the top, we run an auger all the way up there. So the truck drives in, like right about under that spigot, and then it just dumps into an auger on the ground, see all that spilled corn, and it gets augered up and fills the bin. Once the bin is full, if we're done harvesting, then we hire a tractor trailer, and they come and they haul the beans for us to wherever we've sold them to. So pretty local places, like Lansing, Geneva. There's different places that buy them. And they either make them into their own feed and sell it, or they export them on ships. So it's kind of interesting. And then once soybeans are done and we've sold them and we're ready to start combining corn, same thing happens. We fill it up with corn, call a tractor trailer, sell it. So that's that. Kind of like a short part of the video, but it's a pretty big part of our farm where, you know, we do a lot of with the cattle. However, we do a lot of crops. So I'm just gonna walk up and get out of the wind, and I'm just gonna go into like hopefully like 2 minutes at most specifics about like our cattle operation, just to give you guys an idea. So if you have questions about it, you can ask. And yeah, so bear with me, and we'll do that. I'm gonna go just to get out of the wind. Okay. I'm in our shop, which doesn't serve too much function. It's not big enough to get any equipment in. But my father is also has a hardwood flooring business, so it really just acts as a warehouse for that. So the cows. So like I said, we're a registered Red Angus farm, and our main focus is genetics. So our main focus is not beef. You will notice I don't talk a lot about beef. If we end up looking at my career PowerPoint I made for a previous presentation, you'll notice I stop at what we do, because I'm not about to fabricate what I know about the slaughter and marketing industry, because it's just not our specialty. So our specialty is raising the best Red Angus cattle we possibly can raise, and then selling them to other herds to produce better cattle. And those better cattle, I'm not saying they have to be show cows or just do what we do. Those better cattle will produce better beef animals. They'll gain more weight. They'll gain it quicker. They'll be healthier, and they're going to produce better steaks because they're going to have better marbling, better tenderness. There's a lot more that goes into it than just, you know, feed some cow you found out in a field. So that's our end goal. And how we do that is we invest in the best female mama cows we can have to buy, and then we either let them have natural calves, and by that I mean we artificially inseminate them. We don't personally. There's actually a technician who comes, she is specially trained, and they artificially inseminate them when they're in heat, so the cow's ready to be get pregnant. They do their job, and we hope that works out. But on the flip side, like I briefly mentioned earlier, we do also raise and keep a couple, usually about 4 Red Angus bulls that we like their genetics, they're sound, they fit our criteria, and then those bulls will go out to pasture with all the cows after they've been bred. So if they do come open, so if they do lose that pregnancy or they just never got bred, the bull will obviously naturally breed them. Okay, I'm just trying to keep it like in shorter videos. I think it might help me later. So I was saying we have our bulls, we have our cows. So then if we invest in like a really great mama cow, and I'll just give you guys like an idea of like when I'm saying like these good mama cows, we've bought in mama cows that range from $5,000 to $50,000. A lot of times we'll go in with a partner because obviously we don't have $50,000 in our bank account, I can tell you that. But when we make these investments, it's all in marketing. So when we buy these cows, people across the country are like, we want her too. So that's when this embryo portion comes in. What we do is it's called conventional flushing, or we do IVF. Again, maybe it seemed weird to you guys. It's really similar to females in general. In pregnancy, cows have the exact same everything as a female 9-month pregnancy. So we collect their embryos. For IVF, we collect them, and then we breed them. Or when I say we have a embryologist who's a specialized vet do this. He collects the embryos, and then there's just fertilized in a petri dish. With conventional flushing, we actually breed the cow and collect 7-day-old fertilized eggs, and then those are frozen. So those can be sold. So we sell them in sales across the country, and embryos can sell for $300 a piece to $3,000 a piece, or more if someone really wanted them. So we do make the money back on those big investments. It just takes time. Well, we think we make the money back, but obviously of expenditures too. So that's why we do that. We've started herds across the country. We've started herds right here in New York, like right in Onondaga County, right around us. So that's why we do what we do. And then so we may sell the frozen stuff, but obviously we have live animals too. So the heifers, which are our female calves, we normally sell a few of them as what we call open heifers. They're too young to be bred yet. They're only 6 months old. So at 6 months old, they're just coming off their mama's milk. You know, so beef cows are unlike dairy cows. The mama raises the baby nurses off the mom for about 6 months. And then we do wean them because the mama cow is also starting a new pregnancy. So we don't want to cause her too much stress by having to, you know, grow a new baby and then be nursing a baby too. So we separate those heifers off, and then we offer a few for sale. We go through and select anyone who we want to keep in our herd, and then some that maybe just aren't as good, we may either take to the sale barn or sell to herds that aren't as concerned with baby things we are. Then we have the bull calves. So the bull calves, if the bull calf is, now bear with me, this might get confusing. I'm trying to be as clear as I can, but if I know me, I'm confusing. The bull calves, if they were out of a surrogate mom and the embryo didn't stick, so they got bred by a bull, those automatically become steers because they're not registerable animals, okay? So that immediately determines for us that they're going to be a steer. The red-hided registered red Angus, we go through, and from about 6 months to maybe even a year old, we start making determinations if we think they are going to be viable herd bulls. So at about a year old, bulls can start breeding. They can breed about 10 to 12 cows at about a year old. That's the rule of thumb. So we go through and start selecting those because we sell bulls right here off our farm to all sorts of local farms. So we go through and select those, and then we also make decisions if we want to keep any for ourselves to use in our herd. And we obviously have to make wise decisions because we don't want to use anyone that's related to anyone. So it takes a little bit, but that is basically the cow operation. So I really hope you guys piece this apart and ask questions when we do our, it's not called a Zoom, but you get me. So I'm really excited to talk about it, answer your guys' questions. Yeah, or anything. If you have questions on the crop side or any of like the careers that are involved with farming, you know, you don't have to be a farmer. You could be a million other things. And I did graduate from Morrisville for agricultural business. So if you have any questions about anything, I would so love to answer them and talk to you guys more, which I know we will soon, next week, I think. All right. So bear with my editing skills because I'm going to go inside and edit this video, which, wish me luck. Bye, guys.